Oh man, my initial reaction of Black Adam with The Rock Dwayne Johnson. In terms of story, I thought the narration was bulky at first in the beginning, but maybe necessary, I presume, just because the character is kind of Shazam adjacent. But in terms of the action, it was action packed. Tons of Black Adam not giving any F's about what was taking place and kind of taking names and taking lives left and right. It did give a great snapshot of how he got his powers and how there was a lot of kind of nuance to his character. There's a lot of depth, right, because of his family and all of those things. I really did think the JSA within it was kind of brought on kind of subtly, and it did kind of conflict because we do see with the kind of kids' walls, the superheroes are everywhere. The Justice League is everywhere. So, well, at least the individual characters. So, very hard to kind of presume that the JSA and the JLA are kind of living in the same realm, which I guess works. I think in terms of the anti-hero slash villain, is Black Adam going to be this character that is a villain, or we're going to see more of an anti-hero? I didn't really find an answer to that within this. I think you do see a lot of cause and effect, and you do see a lot of areas where he could be a bad guy, but at the same point in time, he really does have a conscience and is willing to kind of put his anger aside to help others. So that was really confusing. I'm not too sure moving forward how we're going to kind of eliminate that, because at the end of the day, I think he's still a balanced character. He's not more villain or more hero, which I think the end credit scene kind of maybe leans into it a little bit more with someone that we definitely want to see get into battle with Black Adam as a whole. And also on the coattails of Shazam, or at least Shazam 2 coming out, hopefully that movie gets a little bit more involved and combines these two storylines so that we can eventually see more than just the Wizard being that connective piece. In terms of characters, I thought Hawkman did great. There wasn't a lot of backstory. I just had to know who he was. Aside from the flying and the mace, there wasn't really much context. So unless you're a DC fan, Hawkman's just going to kind of go above you. Same thing, I think, with Dr. Fate. They did kind of talk about the helmet, but didn't really talk about Naboo. So the characters, I think, were a little less, I would use the term described. So unless you're a DC fan, I don't know that you're going to really know who these characters are or be able to care too much other than their camaraderie. I do think Pierce Brosnan played a wonderful Dr. Fate. I want to see him reprise that role in the future, hopefully. I think Cyclone was interesting, a little bit more nanobot situation and a little less, I guess, actually a android, much like Red Tornado was. I think she moved around like a Death Eater, and that was pretty awesome. But in terms of her and Atom Smasher, I thought they were more of that comic relief, a little bit more of those side characters. I do like the addition within the DCU, and I did like Atom Smasher as kind of that more humanistic character. It brought a little bit of funny in there. And to say more about The Rock Dwayne Johnson, I do think he played a wonderful Black Adam, and I believed him to be that person. It was a little bit hard because it's kind of almost like The Rock doing The Rock things, especially with the dialogue. So that was kind of hard to get away from. But how do we see this fit into the DCU? I think it fits perfectly. Well, I shouldn't say perfectly just because of the JSA JLA situation, but I do think that it's a character that we're going to see do things the opposite that we've been seeing within the DCU and add a little bit more depth, maybe a lot more action in that situation. And hopefully with the crossing of characters and arcs and things, we'll get to see a much more full DC universe. And that's just kind of my hope. If I could give it something out of 10, I think depending on what you want to see from it. Do you want original IP? Do you want action? Do you want to see a change in what you've been seeing in the DCU? If you just want the IP to be kind of stuck to as a purist, I would probably give it a closer to like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. But if you're into like action and you're thinking that, oh, maybe this might be a little bit hopeful in terms of the DCU, if you're in a positive mindset, I think you could maybe give it a 7.5, maybe an 8. I think that would be a stretch out of 10. But this is for y'all to decide as we continue to discuss. We'll get more into a deep dive sooner than later when we get onto the pod, but that's just my initial thoughts. Hope you enjoy watching Black Adam and you'll get it.
Hey, what's up everybody? Scott here giving you my first impression of Black Adam post-movie. Black Adam was awesome. If you ever wanted to see a movie where The Rock plays The Rock playing a superhero, then this is the movie for you. If you ever wondered what it would be like if Batman got his hands on tech from Wakanda, this movie's for you. If you ever thought to yourself that you needed more Mark Ruffalo in your life, then the young clone they got playing Atom Smasher got you covered. Jokes aside, I felt this movie did an amazing job with the action. Though the trailers were a bit misleading, there was always a moment in every action sequence he was in that had me saying to myself, oh, that's fucking cool. This movie was in no way a perfect film. There were characters I really liked and some I didn't. And like the jokes, there were some I liked and some that fell flat. But I went into the movie with low expectations, and overall it was an entertaining movie. And although The Rock was The Rock, it did feel like he was trying in this role to embody Black Adam, which in the end worked for me. The movie started pretty strong and got a little wonky towards the end, but overall I enjoyed the movie. I think as of right now I would give it a 7 out of 10. I can't wait to dive more into this review on the podcast with all of you. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.
If you like what you hear, please like, follow, and subscribe. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us on Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at JoyStickShow, Joystick Show. Or if you feel like submitting topics or asking questions to be discussed on further episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. Peace out and make it a great rest of your week.
The Joystick Show.